Hi, everyone. Hi, Tammy, Markle in the bushes. How's everybody doing? We will see how this works. My StreamYard has already twice kicked me out of the stream before we even started. So they must be having issues tonight. Hi, everyone. Been sitting here projecting unconditional love and healing to the loved ones of beautiful Ariel. Yes, her family needs so much love, so much prayers right now, especially with the details that came out today. Very devastating, which honestly, we knew. Like I've been saying since the beginning that her mom had reported abuse multiple times to the CWS workers. And it sounds like somebody got tired of the abuse not being checked into and went over CWS's head and called 911. And it still never got addressed. And that was around the same time that they stripped her of her parental rights. The whole system is just crooked and messed up. Let's go ahead and take a look at that article for anybody who didn't see it yet today. Let me pull it up on the screen. Okay. It says abuse reported years before Isabella Kaluuya's death. Honolulu police documented allegations of abuse of Ariel, but took no action when Child Welfare Services received a report in 2019 that the girl was being beaten and starved by her foster parents, more than 2 years before she is believed to have died. On July 3rd, 2019, a witness reported seeing Lehua Kaluuya punching, slapping, and then pulling the then 5-year-old Ariel Sellers, the Kaluuya's foster child, at various times over a 4 to 6 week period. According to a July 3rd, 2019 CWS intake report referred to the Honolulu Police Department at 2:39 p.m. on July 22nd, 2019. HPD's response to the referral was detailed to the Honolulu Star Advisor by law enforcement sources. The witnesses told CWS that Lehua and her husband, Isaac Sonny Kaluuya, were starving Ariel Sellers, as she was referred to at the time. A family court judge approved the Kaluuya's application to adopt the girl in January when her name was changed to Isabella. After a thorough review of the circumstances, it was determined that there will be no action taken by HPD in this case. The welfare of the child would be best met by the actions of CWS instead of HPD, concluded the HPD detective at the time he administratively closed the matter as a miscellaneous public or non-criminal incident that acknowledged receipt of the CWS report but did not involve a formal investigation or forensic interview. I want to know who this HPD officer was, because he should have investigated. If they went to the police department, the police should have investigated it, not just turned it back over to these social workers who were ignoring the abuse as it was. So that's another associate that failed her. After consulting with CWS staff, the detective closed the case at 1:57 p.m. on July 23rd, 2019, less than 24 hours after receiving the referral. His supervisor approved the closure. Neither officer responded to the Star Advisor request for comment. And then it just goes back into the what happened to her. They were starving her. They kept her locked in the dog crate. They're charged for murder. And says Kathy Betts, Director of Department of Human Services, and Daisy Lynn Hartsfield, DHS Social Services Division Administrator, did not respond to their request for an interview. Seems typical. Maybe, instead of asking them for interviews, you just need to give them the stream for the live streams, because they seem to have no problems commenting on social media. Not them personally, but their associates. So perhaps we should just give them a Facebook password and then send them to the live streams. Send them to the group so that they can give us a comment about why they allowed this to happen. It's just very frustrating. Sorry, I dropped part of my mic. Yeah, Markle, 2 years of starving. It's sickening to know that somebody was reporting this all the way back in 2019. And you can see it. You can see it in her pictures. And for all the people who kept saying that they that we faked the pictures and those pictures weren't real and all those things, like, no. Now we know that somebody knew. For weeks she had already been starved back in 2019. They were only with her since January. Since February of 2019. So between February and July, Lehua started abusing her and starving her, and people noticed and reported it. And it was documented that it was reported, and nobody did anything to help them. And then they let her adopt her. Why did she even apply for adoption if she hated her? There should have been reunification with the parents and help the parents. Yeah, I agree, Gabby. There should be programs that help these parents instead of just pulling them out of their care, especially since there was no abuse in the parents' home. It was a drug issue. Yes, perhaps HRs need to be changed that if CWS doesn't act on such reports, law enforcement must. The state of Hawaii were the kids' guardians at that time. Neglect. I agree. It blows my mind that police just didn't look into it. They just didn't even care. In under 24 hours, they closed the report. Yes, the guardian ad litem is responsible as well. I agree. Yeah, pure evil. Pure evil. It's just appalling. Um, it's just completely appalling to know the things that she went through. And it's hard to talk about. I've been quiet for a couple days because it just gets to the point where it hurts my heart. And I know a lot of you can relate to that. It's hard to read the things and to know the things that she went through. But you can tell. I mean, let's look. You can see the change. So another thing that I was looking at, who reported it? Who reported it? The police, why didn't they investigate? I don't understand it either, Tammy. I have no idea who reported it. I'm trying to find out. Because I'm imagining that it was probably a family member or a neighbor. And like I said, Mel had already been reporting abuse to the caseworker at this point. She had been saying, my daughter is hurt and she constantly has bruises and she's always hungry whenever she comes. And she had been telling them this. She had been telling the caseworker this for weeks, and the caseworker she just ignored it. They just ignored the claims and eventually stripped her of her parental rights. And so it's I don't know if this was Mel who called this in, who finally called police to reach out for one last ditch effort to get her daughter taken care of. I don't know. But being that it's a 4 to 6 week period, it makes me wonder if it could have been her. If this was her last ditch effort to get her daughter help and it fell through the cracks. And this isn't even cracks. No, this is just blatant disregard for this girl's health and well-being. The police just blatantly ignored it. I wonder if they even talked to Ariel. I wonder if they even talked to the siblings. Probably not, would be my guess. They started starving her in 2019. It's no wonder she would try to sneak out and get food and try to sleep in the yard or whatever. It's no wonder. She was being starved and beat for 2 years and systematically broken down and abused for 2 years. Yeah, some investigation, less than 24 hours. Hi, Savage. It's just devastating. I don't know. Like I said, it's been hard to come on and do live streams because of, how upsetting this news is. And with everything that's been going on, it's just, how do you even put words to it? How do you even put words to what the sister is going through right now? Having to tell her story. There was 5 witnesses and 5 hours of testimony during the grand jury, which tells me she was likely there. And it's hard. It's hard to know she has to sit there and look at these monsters and what they did to her sister and what they did to her. She had to help carry her sister's lifeless body to the bed. And it's just devastating to think about. I was looking at some of the pretrial proceedings, and the way that court cases work, for those of you who don't know, you have a preliminary hearing before you go to court, and it's basically showing the judge like the evidence that you can have to make sure that it's sufficient so that whenever you go to trial that you can make a case against the defendant. That was initially scheduled for Friday at 1:30 p.m. It's still showing on the court dockets. So I'm not sure if it's happening or not, because during the grand jury hearing that they just had the other day, the Kaluas did plea. And typically the plea happens during the preliminary hearing. Now in Hawaii, it says that the grand jury hearing can sometimes take the place of the preliminary hearing, as long as the defendant and defense attorney, agrees to let that happen. So I'm wondering if on Friday we will see a court case or not. Let me show you guys, though. It is still showing. Hold on one second. Okay, so this is the docket, and it is still showing that. Let me show you. Let me zoom it a little bit so you can actually read it, because I'm sure it's tiny. So this is their records, and if their first time in was Friday, November 12th, family court. Now this is the important thing. This says it's family court criminal, and it's an active case since November 12th, and it has all their different charges, and that they're being held without bail. And then it says that their next court date is their preliminary hearing on 11/26 at 1:30 p.m. Honolulu Courtroom 8D with Judge Linda Martell. So this is family court, and it makes me wonder. Now, I'm not 100% sure of this or not, but I am curious if this means, because it's in the family court, I wonder if they're going to be stripping them of their rights at that point. Because if you look at the other courtroom, because they have 2 different charges, 2 different charts. The other courtroom is circuit court criminal, and that's where their actual trial will happen. And that was on the 17th was their filing date. That was their grand jury event. And that's where they did their plea deal. However, in the family court, it's showing that they still have a preliminary hearing coming up on Friday at 1:30. Is anybody familiar with how they strip you of your rights in Hawaii, like your parental rights? Because it seems to me with this being in family court that that could be it. Everything about this case makes a person want to cry. It should have never gotten to this point. You're exactly right, Savage. Yeah, it makes me sick to my stomach too, Allison. I can't imagine. I don't care, who you are in this family. It makes me sick, and I live a million miles away, and I'm a complete stranger. So I can't imagine what this family is going through, reading these reports and reading these news articles and reading this stuff in the groups and just processing it all. Just knowing what their Ariel went through. I can't even imagine. If that was my daughter, if that was my cousin, if that was my niece, I couldn't even imagine the heartbreak and the anger that I would feel. And then we have people telling us that oh, Lehua would never do that. She was a good woman. Oh yeah, they're good people. Like, oh, you don't know them because they are monsters. She couldn't break her, so she killed her. Could that have been it? Could she have been asking to go home to her grandma or her mom? And that's why by July, somebody was already reporting. July of 2019, they had only been there for 5 months. For 5 months she had her and she was already abusing her. And that tells me that her social worker, she was so comfortable with her social worker that she knew that she could get away with it. She knew that they wouldn't call her on it. She knew that they weren't going to actually check and that they would never go against her. Look, as soon as it was reported, within 24 hours, it was closed. In order to strip a parent of their rights, a petition must be filed, most likely with the state attorneys general with the court. So, do you think that this could be it though? Because it's in family court? It just confuses me because I guess we will know more on Friday, but with the fact that they already pled not guilty and they are without bail, it makes me curious as to why there is still preliminary hearings scheduled for 1:30 tomorrow, unless the courts just didn't update their dockets, which is always a possibility, I suppose. But these, like, some of this says, because it's family court, like, look, it says sealed. This one here says sealed. Let me see if there's anything else. No. So whatever that is, it says it's sealed. And then this is all family court. Extended coverage, electronic filing, confidential informant or information complaint, that's sealed. Domestic violence felony, another record that's sealed. Domestic violence felonies. So that's why this makes me think, because this is all in the family court. Is this them trying to start the process of stripping them of their rights so that these children can get put back with their family? Hey, thank you, Savage. Let me pull that up. Oh, come on. Sorry. My ghetto computer is like pulling up random things. Family court, legal way to remove all children and take away rights. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking this could be. Not sure if put back with the family, but put back into the system's care until the next step. Yeah, I know that there is probably, you know, there's a lot of different avenues that they have to look at before they put them anywhere. Um, I do hope and pray that they go with Grandma Jolie or, people off the island. I don't think these children will be safe on that island. I really don't. I feel like um I feel like they know too much, and there's so many family members that could hurt them, meaning family members of the Kaluas. Okay. Okay, so this is 2016 Hawaii Revised Statutes Family Child Protective Act Termination of Parental Rights hearing. At a termination of parental rights hearing, the court shall determine whether there exists a clear and convincing evidence that number one, the child's parent whose rights are subject to termination is not presently willing to or and able to provide a parent's child with a safe family home, even with the assistance of a service plan. Let me zoom it. Number two, it's not reasonably foreseeable that the child's parent whose rights are subject to termination will become willing and able to provide the child with a safe family home. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to let them take them to jail with them. The proposed permanent plan is in the best interest of the child. In reaching this determination, the court shall presume that it's in the best interest of the child to be promptly and permanently placed with a responsible and competent substitute parents and family in a safe and secure home, and give greater weight to the presumption that the permanent plan is in the child's best interest. The younger the child is upon the child's date of entry into foster care, and the child consents to the permanent plan if the child is at least 14 years old, unless the court consults with the child in camera and finds that it's in the best interest of the child to proceed without the child's consent. So, I mean, it sounds like it could be part of this. The entry courts deems in the best interest of the child, including restricting or excluding unnecessary parties from participating in adoption or subsequent proceedings. Hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to see if it's like a court proceeding. Like it sounds like it's court, obviously. Um, so these are all the reasons though that they will strip you of your rights. I mean, I think we can definitely all agree that at this point it is in the best interest of the children to not be there. When in jail, a parent has their rights to the children until it goes through the court system. Yeah, so I think this must be it then. This is the family court hearing to take their rights away from them. I really hope that's the case because I don't see why else. But I didn't know that family court cases have a preliminary hearing, if that makes sense. I think whenever we all seen preliminary hearing, I thought personally that it was going to be for the criminal case. Let me look it up. Okay, so yeah, family court cases do have preliminary hearings. You don't have to have a preliminary hearing. You can waive it and it can go straight to the courts. However, some states do have preliminary hearing for their custody cases. So this makes me think that's exactly what this is. This is family court hearing to start the process of of stripping them of their rights, which is awesome news if that's the case because they don't deserve them. Family court should just give the girls back to the bio family without question instead of making them pay all these fees and stress to get the babies back, the pain they are going through. Here's my opinion on this, Sunshine. I agree with that. At the same time, I do want the people who are getting them vetted. This is going to sound sad, but if there are family members on the biological family that aren't qualified for some reason, then they shouldn't get them, you know? We have to be careful with these children. They have been through enough, and I know that the people who are petitioning for them, the people, Grandma Jolie and Grandma Barb, they are doing this for the right reasons. They want these children to be safe. And so that's why I'm like 100% like, let's do this. Let's back them. We know their history. We know that they're going to be okay with Grandma Jolie or that side of the family. The kids need a new, fresh environment away from, yeah. Yeah, that part would be in family court. That's exactly what that is, Savage. It's a family court hearing on Friday then. The Kaluas did put in a motion to get them back, but that was before the sister came forward. Yes. So that was okay. So that was the original court that we were going to have the rally at. And then it got pushed back until February. I don't know the exact date. I think it was like February 2nd. And then with them being arrested, then it obviously, was changed again. So I am hold on. I am wondering how much of the Kalua family has petitioned for these children then to go back. Were the siblings adopted by the Kaluas as well? I'm still learning the details. Okay, so the siblings were adopted except for two. There is 5 children total in this family. The 2 older ones is Big Sis, who is testifying against them, Ariel, who was murdered, and then a child who was adopted by someone in the biological family whenever the foster care situation was happening. And then there are 2 younger children that are 3 and 1. And everyone was adopted except for the third child and the fifth child because the fifth child was still too young. She was still in the foster care process, but they were petitioning to adopt her on the 16th of November. However, obviously that didn't happen because the Kaluas got arrested. Too many people say on the island, everyone knows everyone. These children need far away from this island. I totally agree with that, Tammy. I wish and pray that somebody could take them and just, like I have said this before on my live streams, take them to somewhere nowhereville. Take them to like the middle of the middle of nowhere and live happy on a farm with no one else around and give them time to heal. Time to heal. I said North Dakota, I think last time that I was talking about that, but then I realized how cold it is there and they're from Hawaii. They would literally freeze. But, a ranch in Texas would be perfect for them. Take them somewhere far away from all this pain and give them the chance to heal and grow up healthy. We are going to need a lot of love and care for these siblings, it's going to be a full-time job. Whoever takes custody of them is going to have a full-time job to get these children to trust and love again. They have been so traumatized. I can only imagine. you know, for 2 years, a big sis went out of her way to try and help her sister get food and to try to help her sister, and every time she did, she was abused as well. And so that creates also a dynamic they where she probably feels a lot of guilt, and it's not her fault. She was a child. She didn't know what to do because she was also worried for her life, for her sister's lives. I could only imagine the things that these monsters said to her and put in her head. Let me see. I think there was another report that came out today too. Let me look. Oh, I wanted to tell you guys too, there is going to be a march. We are planning, let me pull up the flyer for it real quick. I haven't posted it yet. It is planned though. It is going to happen. We just have to start sharing it so that people are aware. Give me 1 second. Save it from there and pull it up. They're likely going to have lots of counseling appointments for the foreseeable future and will need someone who can be fully dedicated to their healing. Yes, Savage. Like I said, this is going to take a full-time crew. Honestly, it really will. And I feel like the grandmas are committed to that. I really do. Grandma Barb, it wasn't her choice that these children ended up in the home with the Kaluas. She had custody of them, and this social worker took them for no reason. Like, literally told her she was too tired and so they took her. And they never contacted Grandma Julie. They never contacted anyone on the dad's side of the team. And And so it's like, it wasn't their fault that they didn't have them. I can't stress that enough for people who don't know this case. This isn't the typical, like, oh, well, the family didn't step up and that's why they were in care. Like, no, the family literally didn't know. This is not their fault. They didn't know. Could you imagine being a grandparent and not knowing your grandchild is missing until you see her on the news and they're calling her by a different name? That's literally what happened to Julie. She had no clue, until she's seen the news. Isabella Kalua is missing. And she looked at the picture and said, why are they calling that girl Isabella Kalua? That's my granddaughter. That's Ariel. And she had to start calling around to find out, like, is that my granddaughter? Is that my granddaughter that's missing? That's how she found out. And it's devastating because she had no clue. Her son was in jail and nobody reached out to her because they hadn't talked. They hadn't talked because of family issues. That happens. But that's no reason. This caseworker should have done their due diligence and reached out to this family the way that they're supposed to. I don't care if I haven't talked to my second cousin for 15 years. If you take my kids and nobody else can take them, you better ask my second cousin before you put them in the house with a felon, with a murderer. So this rally, though, it says, join us as we march against the atrocities that CWS and other organizations have committed against Ariel and other children. March in unity to show that we will stand to protect our Kiki and will not be quiet anymore. It's on November the 27th at 6 p.m. We're meeting at the Waikiki Zoo. So this is this Saturday. I know a lot of people are going to be off work. There's nothing to shop for Black Friday. You don't need it. Don't go shopping this weekend. Go out and march with these people. Stand up for these children. I know that Ariel is not the only child in your area that this has happened to. And the only way that this is going to change is if you guys demand change. We as a nation need to demand change. We need Ariel's law, full background checks. Thank you. Full background checks on everybody in the home. And I feel like if you're going to remove a child from their home, from their family, then a judge should have to approve it first. If you can find no relatives that want to take these children, you should have to tell a judge first and have them approve it. Sorry, had to get a drink. There are things in this system that have to change because we are failing so many children left and right. We got Orrin and Orson West, Ariel, we got Peter Boy. Let me see some of the other names that people have named. And I know a lot of you locals can name people that have been failed in this system over and over and over again. And there are things that are happening in Hawaii too. The fact that you guys hired a convicted murderer into your CWS system, like that in itself should be a red flag that you guys need change there. But like I said, it's not just there. It's everywhere. CWS is failing children left and right. It makes it that much more like frustrating whenever you see how much harm they do, because you know that they are a corrupt organization. You know that they are in it for cash. They have a budget that they have to meet. And it's just very frustrating whenever you see it happening right before your eyes. They remove this child from a family for no reason. She could have gone to other family members. She could have stayed with her grandma and maybe offer her a social worker or something to let her take a nap periodically if she was tired. Like, why was that not a thing? There should be some type of family support plan if you're trying to keep them in the custody of the family. And unfortunately, there's not. And HPD, I'm sorry, but they need investigated through this as well. We're seeing that they completely just brushed this case off whenever it got reported for abuse. Is that typical there? Do they not investigate abuse? Like, I don't understand how instead of talking to this child, talking to the family, looking into this case, in under 24 hours, this claim was just shut off and thrown away essentially, and now she's dead. So those officers should be held accountable as well. I don't care if it was 2 years ago. They should be held accountable as well. And then something in that article as well this afternoon said about the children having different fathers and that's why they were placed there. That's not true. Just to clear up that rumor. Adam is the father of all of the children. And I know that rumor's been going around, but it's not true. Sorry, I was trying to look through the group comments because somebody had listed earlier all of the different children in Hawaii that the system failed. And I know it's a long list. And I am like trying to find it and I cannot. I should have wrote it down earlier whenever I seen it. The point is her death, this whole event 100% could have been prevented and it wasn't. Family court judges do approve it, and that's the problem. The courts are closed and one person makes the decision. You have more rights with a speeding ticket, and the guardian ad litem is picked by the lawyer. So they do approve it before they get placed into foster care? Like away from the family? I got support services, Department of Health, Child, Adolescence, Mental Health, Family Guidance Center. They got therapist, activity aids, and respite care. Yeah, Ariel was felled despite that person's effort. Yeah, I would like to commend that person who reported it to police for saying something. You know, it's good that they spoke up. It's just devastating that once they spoke up, everybody quotes see something, say something, see something, say something. Somebody did and the police ignored it. And CWS ignored it, and it was ignored for how many years? We know that her preschool teacher also reported abuse, and it was ignored. Her mom reported abuse, and it was ignored. And it's like, so we know that they completely failed her on every level. And then they had the nerve to blame COVID. Well, guess what? In 2019, there was no COVID. It had nothing to do with COVID. It's just sad. CWS is quick to take children away from the parents and quick to place them with another family without contacting biological family first or doing a thorough investigation on the foster family. Yeah, CWS is a corrupt system. It is cash for kids all the way. They should never be encouraged to take children with their budget, but that's what happens. And I'm not saying that every worker within CWS is bad. I know that there are people who do it for the right reasons and who genuinely want to help children. But the way that this organization is put together, it's a for-profit organization. They literally make money off of this. And so it's devastating that, even the people who want to do good can't because of the way that the system works. Let me look up. Somebody told me to look something up earlier. Hold on. Nope, I got nothing. I don't know where it went. I get so many messages, like I completely lost it. CJ. Is that one of the other children, Charisse, that were murdered or failed? Yeah, report 2 years ago, starving and beating. Ariel, 2 years later, died, starving and beating. This could have been prevented. Why would they even let her adopt? Now, this is completely different than the fact that, she also had broken bones. So July, they had police called on them to say that they were starving and beating her. October, she had October was the broken hand. And then January, she had a broken leg. So we're looking at what is that, 5 months a 5-month period that 3 different things happened to injure this child, and she still was adopted by these parents. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Usually a report of abuse, the child gets taken away right away. So that's not always true, Kim Vogel. That's that's not always true because they have to investigate the abuse claims to ensure that they are accurate and true. Unfortunately, there are people who will make false claims of abuse. They will make up a lie because they're angry at someone or things aren't going their way, and they'll report it. And unfortunately, disgusting people who do things like that are part of the reason that stuff gets brushed under the rug so much. Um, People who make false claims ruin it for everyone whenever there is real abuse happening and real claims of abuse. Because unfortunately, so many people are like, "Oh, well, they're just lying." And that's why nobody believes the abused anymore. It's no different than what I was saying earlier this afternoon. I was trying to do a missing persons report earlier, and I was like, I don't know, 5 minutes into my stream for Nicole Hall, and somebody let me know that she was murdered, and they found her body, and her mom and her partner were arrested for murder. And that's just another parent who called in to say that their child was missing, called for help, got everybody upset and worried looking for this child just for the fact that they killed them. It's no different than Ariel. They called for help, and then it turns out that they killed them. Now, in the event that a predator actually abducts a child, what does the media think? What do true crime people think? What do we immediately jump to? Oh, well, the parents killed him. Because it happens so much anymore. It happens so much. And so it's hard. We're making it easier for predators by we're making it easier for predators because so many people kill their children. Nobody even expects that it's the sex predator down the road anymore. If you hear 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 10-year-old, autistic, or whatever, as soon as you hear those claims, what does your mind immediately go to? Oh, they probably killed their kid. Here we go. Here goes another case of it. And it's sad that we jump to that conclusion, but how many cases end like this? It's like, I don't know. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's like 92% or something like that percent of cases, missing cases, are either solved because the child comes home or directly the parents are involved or a family member, close family member or parents. The other, I don't know, 3% is an accident, and then a couple percent is kidnapped by a stranger. It's really low percents. And I can look it up real quick. I guess I probably should instead of just throwing out random numbers. But it's tiny numbers that are ever a stranger abduction. Tiny, tiny numbers. It shouldn't be that way. We got to stop killing our kids. If you need a break from your child, take them somewhere. Call somebody to come sit at your house. Do something. Walk away. It's okay to walk away from your kid and shut the door. Don't kill them. I don't know. It's frustrating. Yeah. So then we have cases like Cleo in Australia. She actually was abducted. 100% abducted by a stranger who just abducted her, literally took her. And everybody jumped on those parents right off the bat. They were getting death threats, they were getting all kinds of things. And look, they found her. They found her and she was fine. She's alive, you know? But everybody jumped straight to the parents killed them. And it's because of this crap. It's because of this stuff with Ariel or Nicole Hall or Gannon Stout. T reported him missing. How many people get reported missing? And then it turns out that their family killed him. But then the predator is getting an easier ride. Nobody even expects it anymore. Nobody. Who was the other one? There was somebody else recently that was actually kidnapped. Oh, Michael Vaughn. Everybody has been all over his dad, his babysitter, his mom. And now police came out and said he was most likely kidnapped by a stranger. They have a vehicle in the area that they suspect took him now. And if you look at where his house is, it's right off of the main highway between two exits. You can literally get off the highway and back on the highway within minutes. Just drive straight through, right down his road from one side to the other and right back on the highway. Gone. Poof. They could have just randomly drove through, grabbed a child and left. And he was just like there. It just happened. Wrong place, right time. But everybody has been destroying his parents for 4 months. And now it turns out he's kidnapped. The sad thing is when CPS takes the children, they do talk with biological parents, and the bio parents make a list of family members they feel might be a good place, and letters get sent out. Ethel, I'm not sure what happened in this case as far as that goes, because Mel claims she never filled out any paperwork. She was never notified. She was homeless at the time. I wonder how much they actually reached out to her or were able to even get a hold of her. Yes, Faye. That was the other one. Everybody was so sure her mom killed her because her mom, she was outside in the backyard playing. Her mom seen her at the window, and next thing you know, she was gone. Just gone. And the neighbor had her and killed her. That's exactly right. That's who I was trying to think of. Thank you, Margie. How many are foster children? Of these children that I just named, not any to my knowledge, but these are parents that killed their children. As far as foster children go, they most often they get reported missing, and then typically nobody even investigates. And that sounds awful, but it's true. We have so many cases that I have been looking into that they don't even, like, there's no publicity because kids who are in the foster care system, there's a social media policy. You're not supposed to post their pictures. You're not supposed to talk about them on social media, different stuff like that, because they're a foster child. And what happens in that situation because of that, whenever they go missing, there's no pictures of them for people to post. There's nobody with any knowledge of them because they've never been a social media presence. And how much of our lives are spent looking at our phones now? If it's not on social media, it didn't happen. And that's why I started this channel, guys, because there's so many big channels that will cover the same case over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And they talk to their people about the same thing over and over and over again. And I feel like so much more of an impact could be made if we talk about different children as well. We need these children to have a social media presence. And it sounds disturbing, but how many people, if you don't see it on a Facebook group or you don't see it on a flyer on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, how many do you even really know about? Who watches the evening news? And sadly, the evening news doesn't even report it most of the time. So we get to this place where we're relying on social media to tell us when these children are missing. William Tyrell. Yes. It's just sad. We have to change things though, guys. And there are big channels, that cover different cases or post flyers, and they still, like, um somebody that I like to watch, Chasing. She covers Summer Wells' case a lot, but she also covers other cases. She puts out missing flyers. She talks about other cases. She does So Mean allegedly with Gray Hughes, and they talk about different cases. Like, she's not laser focused on just one case, and that's okay. Like, I mean, I talk about Ariel a lot. Um, but I also still talk about other cases as well. And then Gray Hughes investigates. Like, he talks about he talks about different cases every single night. Like, he just deep dives every single night. Yeah. 2 years later, that's insane. That's insane. And okay, so whenever you look at the missing persons flyers too, how many of them are just no picture or very, very little details? Very little. Without social media, a lot of missing would never have a face. Yeah, it's true, Marky. And okay, so you get the good social media and you get the bad. You see you watch cases like Summer Wells, and you watch it blow up. And it was exciting whenever it first started blowing up, because it was like, "Oh, thank God, she's gonna get attention. And hopefully it will make her be found, and somebody will come forward, and rainbows and butterflies." And then about 2 or 3 weeks into it, it started to take a turn, and it went crazy. And that case has been a circus, literally a circus ever since. And it's sad because she's still missing, and the focus isn't on her, and it should be. The focus needs to stay on these children and on the systems that failed them. And that's why I don't like talking about, the family's background or different things like that. While it's important to their story, it's not at the same time, especially in this case, because she wasn't with her family for 4 years. Her mother for 4 years. She was with different family members before 2019, but she wasn't with them all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Yes, Tegan, age 15, found 40 days. That was exciting. And it's great whenever we get good news. There has been a lot of good news lately, but then there's been a lot of bad news too. Yes, Lily Rose, Tegan was found. Yeah, they found him, I think, yesterday. So, and then Savage, so you see those cases that have been missing like 21 years. Who talks about it? Or is anybody even still looking for these people? It's sad. I have a video about Jasmine. She's been missing for 6 years. Her mom puts out, or actually it's 7 years this year. Her mom puts out like a devastating video just begging for help every year. She never skips a year, just begging for somebody to come forward. And it's devastating because these are real families that are actually out there looking for these children, that are actually missing their kids. And so it's frustrating whenever you see these parents go on TV and cry or get upset begging for their children, and then it turns out that they killed them. Like, they deserve a special type of punishment if they can stand in front of you and cry and weep over their child and tell you all about their disappearance and what happened and how they don't understand, and then it turns out that they killed them. There should be a special type of punishment for that. For wasting police resources. Wasting social media resources. Social media, we should get our own, like, our own charges. If I waste time making a video about your child and then it turns out that you killed them, you should have to, like, I don't know, serve an extra 5 years or something. It's ridiculous. And, like, don't get me wrong, a child is never a waste of time. It's just frustrating how many parents are hurting their kids. And it makes it so much easier for the for the um for the predators and for the actual people with problems. But I don't know, guys. I just wanted to come on and kind of talk about stuff a little bit tonight. I don't want to stay on too much longer. Susan Smith. Yeah. I don't want to stay on too much longer, though. I did want to tell you guys about this rally, and kind of talk about what I thought about this preliminary hearing coming on and these new abuse charges. So that's all I really, have for tonight. Just coming on to ramble and put her face out again. She's still missing. She still needs help being found. She's still out there. I really hope that Sonny tells where he put her. And now that we know for sure abuse was happening since 2019, like 100%, it was reported. We know it was there now. That makes me look kind of crazy at all of these family members that were there every Friday, Saturday for barbecues, that were in and out of the house because they were living there. None of you seen it? Not one of you? I don't believe that. Not for a second. You've seen them over punishing or treating her bad. Whatever. You know what you've seen. You need to come forward and talk about it. Yes. Yeah. Suzanne Smith killed her 2 kids, 1994, drowned them in her car, drove into a lake, and cried on camera for the public's health. Yep. It's devastating. Two children in Florida was cookout with dad, went inside a few minutes. Someone took them. A relative went live. The group homeless and missing started sharing the person that took them, brought them back. That's great. See, and that's why it's important whenever you guys see these missing people, these flyers and the different videos or the social media post or the Facebook, whatever, share it, because the more eyes that get on these children as fast as possible, if they are with a predator, the better. Because there are a lot of children, like sex trafficking is a thing. Kidnapping is a thing. Pedophilia is a thing. So it's very important to get their faces out there quickly for the events whenever it's not the parents who killed them. Because somebody out there might see these people. There was the case, Trinity, that I covered the other day. She was found in the next state. We've had a couple found within the last week or two, but then we have some that are still missing. Kimberly, I covered earlier this afternoon. She is still missing. She's 14 years old, missing in Connecticut. And then there's Angel Nicole Overstreet in Khaleesi. Khaleesi's no longer with us, but they still haven't found her remains. And Angel Nicole Overstreet, she'd be 9 months old now, and she's still missing. She's been missing for longer than she was not missing at this point. She was only 3 months old whenever she went missing. And then we have, Jada. Jada is still missing. And the family are almost positive that they know exactly where she is. There was a picture that was sent to them that of her on October 25th, and police know about it. Nobody has seen her since. And so we don't know, even if she ran away, if she's out there willingly or not. We don't know. But we have found children too lately. Ann Burke was found, and Trinity Hurt. They were both found. So it's like, there is good stuff happening too. It's so devastating whenever it turns out that it's not good, that it's not a happy ending. We want all the kids to come home safe. But anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close it down. Please, if you are able to come to this rally, come to the rally. They're going to be marching. This isn't just about Ariel, this march. This is about CWS as a whole. We know that they are failing children. They are failing so many everywhere, but especially in Hawaii. You guys have named so many different cases. This caseworker who was in charge of her case, as far as we know, is still working. She's not fired. She's still there. The caseworkers that commented on the groups, for all we know, are still working, and it's not acceptable. We have to demand accountability and justice for these crimes. And we go ahead and close down in prayer, like I always do, guys. I appreciate you coming to watch and just kind of talk about the case with me. So, thank you, Father, for bringing us all here this evening. Dear Lord, please weigh heavy on Sonny's heart and help him, dear Lord, to tell where Ariel is. Be with these officers as they continue to investigate. Be with Big Sis, Lord. Help to heal her. Help to put back the pieces that are remaining and to help make her strong, Lord. She's going to have a tough battle ahead of her. Be with this family, Lord. Thank you for all you do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, guys, have a good night.